Let's go make a killing.
All right.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
10 to the 5 to the 4, play one, touchdown!
The sharpest football contest show in the land.
I'll take the action. My Birds, Benjamin Franklin's team, favored by 1.5 points. I'll give you 3 more.
You're now riding shotgun with 2 former contest winners in Brady Cannon and James Salinas. And getting a former player's perspective with 9-year NFL veteran Mike Pritchard.
Let's go!
As they guide you through strategy, process, and your contest picks each and every week of the season.
I do like the idea of a parlay.
Now here's your host, Brady Cannon.
Welcome in, everybody, and welcome back. Football contest season is back in 2025, and episode 1 of season 2 of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show in its inaugural episode of 2025 from Radio Row at the Circa Resort and Casino in fabulous downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. I am Brady Cannon, along with my partners Mike Pritchard and James Salinas, and great to have all of you back, and also want to thank our proud title sponsors backing us once again this season for season 2 of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. It is presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Gentlemen, here we are again. This is where we met up a year ago, and I tell you, it doesn't take long. I'm already fired up, James.
Welcome in, friends. Good to see you guys. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to It's Game Time, right? We are 2 weeks away from the season. I know when the season ends, when it comes to the Super Bowl, we go through the entirety of the year. We have such a long break, and we start the countdown. I know for me, as soon as this football season's over, I'm already looking, all right, how many weeks, how many months we have to get here? Now we're 2 weeks away, Pritch. That's what's up.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy how fast it comes along, right? I have to tell you guys, though, I'm still in preseason. I'm still trying to work out the kinks here a little bit as we get closer and closer to the season. But we'll get there. I mean, the excitement is at a fever pitch. It always is right around the contest. Everybody's going to be coming out to Vegas and signing up for both contests, Westgate and certainly here at Circa. So excited to be back with you guys. Excited to give it another crack this year to see if we could cash either on the quarterlies with the millions, or we can win the millions, or certainly Survivor is on everybody's radar as well.
Absolutely. Well, some way or fashion or form, we will see if we can find ourselves a cash out for sure, Mr. Pritchard. Mr. Steve Fezzik in the house. How are you, sir? He's just saying hi. That he's a 2-time winner of that super contest thing you and I are familiar with. You mentioned the preseason, Pritch. It's kind of our preseason for the Las Vegas Football Contest Show as well. We've got week 1 here, Ultimate Contest Weekend at Circa. Super Contest Weekend was last weekend at the Westgate. We've got one more show next Friday where we really start to gear up and start looking at that week 1 schedule. And let's talk about some of the new contests. Jay Cornegay, the Hall of Famer, he retires. John Murray now in as the director of racing sports at the Westgate. Of course, Derek Stevens unveils a new contest this year, the Grandissimo, for $100,000 Survivor entry fee. And I noticed up on the big board, 20 entries now in Survivor Grandissimo. So they have already surpassed the guaranteed $1.5 million in that pool. 20 participants in that one. Of course, Circa Survivor, Circa Million. And then over on the Westgate Superbook side of things, you've got the Super Contest, of course, Super Contest Gold. And then you also have a Survivor of their own, a $5,000 entry. No Christmas, no Thanksgiving, just a traditional Survivor format there down the street at the Westgate. And then Super Contest College for a $500 entry fee. And so far, that has been the most popular contest in the early signups over at the Westgate. Pritch, former college football standout at Colorado. I think that contest is that is something Las Vegas feels like it has been starved for a while.
I think they're going to tap into a great market right there, because college football, as we know, is getting more and more popular with the advent of NIL. I mean, I think when you have the transfer portal the way it is and the rules how they're trying to work it out, the expansion, the growth of college football, when you think about the playoffs, the SEC announcing that they're going to go to 9 conference games now, that means expansion for the playoff is coming, right? It's going to come sooner than later. So that's an untapped market, in my opinion. I think college football presents more growth than the NFL does right now. Because think about it. I mean, that's where the expansion is. The National Football League, we're at 32 teams and that's it. Yeah. They want to go global. which that's fine. That's why they're streaming. But with college football, the expansion of not only these conference championships, or maybe they'll do away with conference championships, but certainly as we get closer and closer to expanding the playoffs, that's just growth for the entire game.
So you got to have a contest for it. Now, we won't be covering it here because we do our show on Fridays, and those picks will be due on Friday afternoons for that contest. We'll certainly keep you up to date on the standings and that type of thing. But, James, it's all NFL over here.
Well, and I highly encourage everybody to get into the college football contest from this perspective of, as a competitor in these contests, I want people to be as distracted from the NFL as possible, right? So, because there's only so much time you have to put in as a handicapper. And when you think about the college landscape, there's games, starts on Friday. Well, they have the action on Tuesday, Wednesday. So many different things that go on during the NFL season. So yes, when you come to college, it's such a big board. You go into the sports book and you see the Saturday board, and it's up and down. The lights are lit up as far as how many games are on the rotation. To me, that's good. That's good for someone that just wants to focus on the NFL, that other folks that are in our NFL contests are probably also getting into college. Takes a lot of time. Keep distracting yourselves. That's going to only be a benefit for us.
You knew he had an ulterior motive.
Yeah, always looking for the edge. I love James that way, man. Always looking for the edge.
Mike, you have been a big fan. You've always been fascinated with Circa Survivor and the amount of money. I think last year there was 14.2 million or something at stake. Derek Stevens, the owner and operator, CEO of Circa Sports, the Golden Gate and the D down here in downtown Las Vegas, will be joined by his right-hand man, Mike Palm, a little bit later in the program. Also, Matty Simo, footballcontest.com. If you aren't signed up yet, you need a proxy, you're from out of town, check him out at footballcontest.com. He'll join us momentarily as well. But Mike, you have always been fascinated, with the grandeur and the money at stake and what do they call it? The carnage,
yes.
And the elimination rate last year was at an all-time high. I mean, it was like, gosh, we were out in week 2. We went all in on the Ravens. They lost in the fourth quarter to the Raiders. Everybody remembers the game that they went out on. But now, Mr. Stevens, throws out the grandissimo. I mean, what does that do for a guy that already is big into Survivor? Did that blow your mind?
It really did, but there's a market for it. I mean, and Derek Stevens is spot on with the fact that the grandissimo is going to attract, $100,000 to enter that contest. Fewer entries, so maybe you feel like you got a better chance. I think about 30 people total will be in that contest. But the Survivor aspect of it, the attraction of it, Brady, I'll tell you, it's just growing and growing every year. When you do an interview with Forbes magazine, I did an interview with Forbes magazine because they're curious about Survivor, that you're on to something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, forget fantasy football, forget anything like that. The Survivor contest is at a premium and everybody wants to be involved with it.
Well, I tell you, I think you deserve the credit, James. It was probably about a year and a half ago that the three of us were on the phone, and I think you may have, first bandied about the idea that maybe we should do a show about this stuff. I think you were on to something.
Well, I think there was a market, right? And we see that market continues to expand, not only with the amount of money that's in the pools and the entries continue to grow, but the diversification, right? We're talking about now that Westgate is trying to up their game and bringing in, whether it's their own Survivor pool for $5,000, right? That kind of thing. So just continue to build out the fact that folks want to be able to extend. Well, I think Survivor's a little different because we got bounced in week 2, but the fact that you can get into these pools and the money that is out there when you're talking about either Survivor or the the pick'em contest, 5 games against the number each week, it just continues to find ways to attract folks to be able to come in and participate when it comes to the NFL.
Well, football season is king, and now football contest season is becoming just as big, seemingly, guys. And here we are in season 2 of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. We're thrilled to have begun a platform like this where we can talk about the games, talk about the contests, update the standings. There is a rabid desire for this type of information out there in football betting landscapes, and the contest is all a part of that landscape. And we're thrilled here to be here for season 2, episode 1, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. We're back with more on the other side.
Looking for your next ultimate golf experience? Discover Valley High Golf Club, a tropical paradise on the Las Vegas Strip, featuring lush greenery, water features, Balinese tropical plants, white sand, and black volcanic rock, creating an enchanting atmosphere. Valley High creates a memorable golf experience for a typical foursome, a group celebrating a bachelor or bachelorette party, or your next corporate outing. It's award-winning golf on the Strip, Vegas style. Book your ultimate golf experience now at valleyhighgolfclub.com.
Las Vegas isn't just a place to play, it's a great place to live. Louis Payon with Magenta Real Estate is a trusted 5-star real estate professional who's called Vegas home for over 3 decades. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, Louis will guide you every step of the way with proven strategies that deliver results. Call Louis today at 702-849-7160. That's 702-849-7160. Louis Payon is the official realtor of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, presented by our friends at Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. We are thrilled to be back. Football contest season is alive and well once again, and we are here live at Radio Row at the Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, our inaugural episode of Season 2. James Salinas, Mike Pritchard, I am Brady Cannon. And James, you live in Denver, Colorado, and you have experienced this contest for many, many years, over a decade. Of course, you won the Super Contest from the Westgate. It was then the Las Vegas Hilton Contest. Actually, I think at that time it was the Westgate. In 2015, you tied our record actually for the same exact percentage of 72.5%. A fantastic accomplishment, and great to have you as a part of that fraternity. But talk to me about the Proxy service and people that want to play this contest from out of town, out of state. You have to be here in person to sign up, but then you can hire these terrific services to turn in your picks and every week of the season. And obviously for someone like yourself, you have to have that.
You have to have it because the picks have to be put in here in the state of Nevada. So each and every week, and obviously for the duration of the contest, whether it's 18 or for, say, Survivor, it's in effect 20 weeks because of the Christmas and the Thanksgiving perspective of having to play that particular contest. But without having the Proxy service, it's not something where I'm going to be coming to Vegas or coming to Nevada each and every week to be able to submit those plays. So I think from that standpoint of, yes, you have to come here to sign up, but once you have the Proxy, now the Proxy, that's their job, and that's what they're going to do each and every week. You send them their picks, however you, whether it's email or via text, lots of different ways to be able to put those in. And that's kind of what I want to ask Matty, because Matty does his service. And I know, Matty, give us a little perspective on when you first started doing this, and also how things have evolved from when you first started doing this to now here in 2025.
Yeah, our guest, welcome aboard, Matty Simo, the owner and operator of footballcontest.com, the best in the business, the OG. He's been doing the Proxy service here for now close to 20 years in Las Vegas, and we're proud to have him as one of our supporters here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Matty, James, of course, had a question for you. Give us the background. Give us the story.
Yeah, so we were actually James's Proxy when he won the Super Contest, and way back then, we did everything via email, I believe, right, James? So I was replying to emails all day, every Friday and Saturday. Pretty archaic by today's standards, but we've come a long way. We've got a web portal that we use now. We set up all our clients with a username and password so that they can log into the website and make their picks that way. It's a lot more convenient, a lot more streamlined, and I like I said, it's come a long way from that. Was even back, I think, when you had to submit your plays on the little cards. You guys remember that? Like you had to fill out like a little like the little parlay card.
Oh yeah,
all your picks. So we used to grab a stack of those every week, fill out the little bubbles for everyone's entry number, then go through and do the picks. Now you've got the apps, you've got the kiosks. I don't know if you could still do it over the counter, but they might not like that as much with all the technology upgrades. But it's definitely come a long way. Tony and I, my partner Tony-in-law and I, we started this business. We teamed up in 2009, but we were served as proxies going back to 2005. So we have been doing this for 20 years now.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. What you've chosen is now a full-time vocation, and it feels like a little cottage industry. But now, like we say, with football contests becoming so big, Heck, we have a show about it, all this stuff. This has become really a year-round job for you, obviously intense for about 6 or 7 months. How do you prepare in the off season, so to speak?
Oh man. Well, I mean, this year in particular, we relaunched our website. So we have got a brand new logo, brand new look and feel of our website, footballcontest.com. Check it out. We have a new survivor interface that we upgraded in the off season to try to make it a little easier, where we'll track everyone's picks throughout the season. They don't have to just pick a team and then have to remember who they picked the week before that they can't use. It'll automatically track that. If they get knocked out in an entry, it'll remove that entry from their account, so they don't have to worry about that. So yeah, just trying to make sure that we give the kind of the best experience possible for our clients. We don't want them to have to stress about anything except picking the winners. It's hard enough as it is. We're here to follow up with them. If you miss the deadline, if you don't get your picks in, we'll make sure that we get a hold of you. And God forbid something happens and we don't get a hold of you, we'll put random picks in for you. So we've got you covered no matter what.
So, Matty, we've talked about all the contests and the diversification with the contests, both here at Circa as well as at the Westgate. But what about some of the other contests that are here in Las Vegas that you guys proxy for?
Honestly, that's it, James. I mean, the Westgate and Circa is it now. There's no more Golden Nugget contest. Stations, like the last man saying, we don't do anything with that. So it's kind of hard with $25 an entry. Like, what do you charge people? And I do think that one's specifically catered towards locals. So you have to have a player's card and be able to swipe that in there. There's other cards that are, used for the Circa and Westgate contest, but those are contest cards that are given to your proxy as well. So those are really the big ones. I mean, Westgate's got the new college contest this year, which really is their most popular contest. They kind of picked up where Golden Nugget left off, and William Hill tried to do a college contest a few years ago. So I was just talking to someone earlier, and I think this is going to be the most successful college contest in town, just because they already have over 500 entries in there. I don't know if they'll get to 1,000, but first year, not too shabby to get somewhere between 500 and 1,000, probably on that higher end for sure.
Well, I bet you they will get to 1,000. That contest really has a lot of legs and a lot of momentum heading into this season. I know a mutual friend, Paul Stone, he went in for about 6 entries, I believe. Maximum 10 entries allowed in Super Contest College. I believe Super Contest traditional NFL is a maximum of 2 entries. Is that correct?
It's all 10 except
they're all.
Yeah, I think the gold they are limiting to 3. But that used to be only 1. So, but they've opened it up tremendously to give people an opportunity to, even if in the survivor contest over there, which is $5,000 an entry, it's 10 entries is the max. So you can get in that if you have the money. They don't have quite the Grandissimo money. You can still get into that one and be part of a high stakes pool.
Do you notice that the appetite for contests has grown versus year after year?
Absolutely.
This is your biggest year yet?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are talking about Vegas being down overall, but it's not down for sports betting, especially for football season and the football contest. I mean, they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and those guaranteed prize pools here at Circa are only going to continue to go up no matter what. People will find a way to get to Vegas before the season. You're going to see these numbers probably, I don't want to say triple, but definitely double, like over the next 2 weeks.
He is Matty Simo. Check him out at footballcontest.com, one of our proud sponsors here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Again, footballcontest.com. We'll be right back.
Look no further than footballcontest.com to get the info you need to succeed. Covering Circa Million, Circa Survivor, Grandissimo, and every super contest at the Westgate Superbook. Reserve the most trusted proxy service in the business now at footballcontest.com. Matty and Tony have been leaders in the industry for 20 years. They submit your picks while you focus on picking winners. Experience matters. Go with the pros at footballcontest.com and start winning now.
Welcome back in. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you here live from Radio Row at the Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, a part of their Ultimate Contest weekend. Our co-host here, Mr. Pritchard, is on one of the panels. You can come check him out, see his early preseason thoughts for what the season holds in 2025. One thing that the season holds is, once again, the unique Survivor format here at Circa, where Christmas and Thanksgiving are their own independent weeks. You have to take from that 3 or 4 game pool on those 2 holidays and pick one winner out of just those games. Then you move on to the weekend, the Saturday, the Sunday, what have you, where the full card is, and make yet another pick. So that is really the gauntlet, getting through the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it's become a signature mark here of the Survivor contest, both the Grandissimo and the standard Circa Survivor at Circa Resort and Casino. And James, we were talking about it. You were looking at the schedule earlier today. You've got a couple of teams that are playing on both Thanksgiving and Christmas, the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Kansas City Chiefs. That becomes saving teams very difficult when you've got a couple of them playing on both weekends.
Well, that's the challenge with this, is with the uniqueness of the Circa Survivor contest, with both Christmas and Thanksgiving being their own separate weeks. And I think that it's a different handicapping approach, because you've got to kind of map out the entirety of the season, making sure that you save at least a couple of those teams if you happen to get that far. I've played the Circa Survivor since the inception. The furthest I've gone is Thanksgiving. So I've made a run with it, but it's trying to map those things out. We know how challenging that is, because in the NFL, it's a week-to-week league based on, one, attrition and injuries and who's going to be available. So, but then knowing that you have to save these teams, it's more of I look at the Survivor as more of it's strategic as opposed to putting in an actual handicapping, which you get 5 picks a week from the Pick'em contest. Now we're actually handicapping the matchups in the games and finding the best 5 against the number. And I think for me, that's more of the challenge, is when the card comes out and I look at the numbers, and here's the 16 games for that week for that particular contest. The first thing I do is I go straight to the underdogs. I look at the left side of that column and I look at the plus number, and I start to circle which teams do I think are going to win outright or have a chance to win outright as an underdog. Now we're talking Survivor, Pritch, and I have to completely flip my mindset. And that's been a challenge for me since the inception of Survivor.
Yeah, I mean, getting out the gate has been a challenge too. I mean, think about the week 1 carnage. What you got to keep in mind, and my experience with Survivor, is the rate of elimination. From week 1, we saw, I think, half the field get eliminated because of the major upset.
I think in week 1, it was over 40%.
Yeah, because of Cincinnati, right?
Right.
So we got to get through. I think the strategy, certainly if you can go into Survivor with multiple entries, that's going to increase your odds. We know that, but it certainly is going to eliminate the frustration of trying to navigate one entry throughout the entire Survivor season. So you're at an advantage for yourself if you can get multiple injuries, whether you're in a group, whether you can afford it yourself. I think you have to do yourself justice that way, of not only navigating and mapping out the season like James was talking about, but keeping in mind the rate of elimination that can happen at the beginning of the year. So we all know, like James said, NFL is week to week, and anything and everything can happen. I think people are trying to predict right now, Denver, is that really going to be the play? You just don't know. But it's so intriguing to me. That's what makes Survivor so special. But mapping out the season, you definitely have to do that. But keep in mind the rate of elimination over the last few years.
Yeah, we will be involved once again in 3 different contests, a team entry here, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. We will have an entry into Circa Million. We will have an entry into the Westgate Las Vegas Super Contest. And then we will have 3 entries in Circa Survivor. Not the Grandissimo. The show is not that popular yet, but we will have 3 entries in the standard Circa Survivor. Just about a minute left here, James. You talk about the challenges of Survivor, especially when you tend to go with the underdogs as far as your betting plays. It makes it difficult when you typically figure to be landing on favorites. How do you see our approach maybe changing? We bowed out quickly last year, like a number of people did. Have you thought about maybe how we approach it differently this year?
I think there's something to be said for a contrarian approach. And so not going and looking at, all right, the biggest favorite on the board, that's going to automatically be the top consensus play for Survivor, and more of a consensus play or more of a contrarian approach where we're not looking at necessarily the top biggest favorite on the board. And we know those things go down. We saw it firsthand through the first 2 weeks of last year, but trying to find ways and find that. I think that's where the edge is. If you're looking for an edge, at least for me, thinking about how to approach Survivor, it's taking more of a contrarian approach where it's not necessarily taking those couple top big favorite, but maybe one of those pick'ems or maybe something that's just a 3-point favorite. That's going to be kind of my approach to try to coerce you guys to come on that side, at least for one of those entries.
It's all very experimental. You have to do this for a few years before you figure out you might have an edge. We will come back with more, hoping to be joined by Mike Palm, get his thoughts on some of the new contests that Circa has introduced for this season. We'll be right back. It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Want to gamble like the pros? At LasVegasAdvisor.com, you'll find the world's best how-to books, software, and strategy cards featuring blackjack, poker, video poker, and of course, sports betting, including the Stanford Wong Classic Sharp Sports Betting. Don't forget LVA's Member Rewards coupon book, offering discounts on dining and entertainment, including a buy one, get one for the awesome lobster buffet at the Palms, and more than $700 in gambling-free play, match play, and bonus offers. Up your gambling game today at LasVegasAdvisor.com.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Cannon, Mike Pritchard, and James Salinas with you here as we start the second half of the show, and we kick it off with our special guest, Mr. Mike Palm, an old friend and the Vice President of Operations here at Circa Sports. Of course, we are at Radio Row at the Circa Resort Casino in downtown Las Vegas, celebrated with Mr. Palm last night at Bar Canada over at the D. Michael, welcome back to football contest season, my friend. This is great stuff.
Yeah, this is a special week, and this Radio Row, thanks to Aaron Oster, has really grown. I think we're close to over 40 different podcasts and radio stations that are out here this year. And we've really grown the events that we do for contest sign-up weekend. You know, it started out year one, hastily threw together a panel of Mitch Moss, Gil Alexander, they were speaking back then, Matt Humans and Paul Stone, right? And with a 3-day notice, Derek said, let's do a panel, let's promote. And we've developed it over the years, and this will be the 7th year of doing it. And I've always tried to have a former NFL player on the panel, and this year it's our good friend Mike Pritchard, so we're excited about that. Chuck Edel, pro better here right in Vegas, who's been tremendously successful, is going to be on it, and a couple other guys that decent fans would know, Drew Densink and Sam Monson. So it's a well-rounded, different perspectives, I think, of the 4 guys on the panel, and we'll do it here 2 to 4 tomorrow afternoon. We'll live stream it on Twitter, so if you can't make it to the Galaxy Ballroom, you can watch, and you can send in your questions. You can respond to the broadcast. Aaron will funnel them to me, as well as the audience members asking questions, and we'll get everybody's thoughts on them, which teams might be overrated, which are underrated, some good bets, maybe in awards markets, contest strategy for millions, and for Survivor.
All right. Very good. Well, James, I know you've got some questions for Mr. Palm. What's on your mind?
Let's talk contest strategy, and let's start with Survivor. Obviously, that's the big dog. Now with the Grandissimo coming in for $100K, as well as the million, or the Survivor and the guarantees that go in. And it's what's the guarantee? And each and every year, you guys keep upping the guarantee. And that keeps driving more people to come in, because the bigger the number, obviously the hopes and the dreams are out there. Obviously for us last year, our dreams crushed in week 2. But thinking about Survivor, because we were talking about strategy, and for a NFL handicapper like myself, I struggle with Survivor, because when I look at games, the first thing I gravitate towards is the number and the dog. And Survivor is really kind of the opposite, where you're looking at not necessarily having to play the biggest favorite on the board, but you're not looking to you're not getting points in this, right? We're picking the winner. So talk to us about contest strategy from a Survivor perspective, and maybe a little bit of contrarian strategy. We saw the big dogs go down in the first 2 weeks last year. What would be a contrarian kind of strategy for your approach in a Survivor contest?
Well, James, I think you have to look at handicapping where you think the picks are going to be, right? When you're looking to be contrarian. So, week 1 is not an easy slate for Survivor. So I've been looking at week 1. I think the vast majority of picks will be on the Denver Broncos, who are hosting Tennessee. Now, 2 of the other seemingly obvious choices would be the Eagles against the Cowboys on Thursday night, and the other NFC East game, the Commanders and the Giants. But people are loath to play divisional games, and I understand why, because familiarity breeds the ability to upset, right? Because you're used to these teams. You have a lot of sample size against them. So it depends how many entries you have, obviously. If you have one entry, you don't have a lot of wiggle room. But if I had 6 entries, maybe I'm taking 2 on the Broncos, maybe. I'm looking at the Colts in week 1, playing the Dolphins. I think that's a sneaky survivor play. I think the Dolphins are going to be really bad. And I think the Colts, everybody's poo-pooing this choice of Daniel Jones. I think it's the right choice. And I think he was always going to be the starter when they got him to leave Minnesota. I don't think he's leaving playing for Kevin O'Connell. You don't know what J.J. McCarthy could have been. He could have inherited that Maserati of an offense there, but he takes a chance because I think he knew he was going to be the starter. So I would look at that. Arizona, I mean, the line's gone from 4 to 6, 6.5. That's a road game traveling across country. I don't know how many people are going to use Arizona on the road. I know they're arguing to me, well, where else are you going to use them? I think there's other spots. You know, Matt Stafford might not be playing. There might be some spots even within their division. So I try to, if I was playing this, I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. And I would try to have the majority or at least half of my picks on not the top 2 or 3 selected.
Yeah, and there's great websites. You know, we obviously have, you know, spawned a show about all this stuff. There's also websites out there now, Survivor Atlas, and, you know, people, these cottage industries, you know, gathering around the contest themselves and starting, you know, advice and, you know, information that you can find and how to navigate this stuff. It's really been incredible. And that leads me to my next question, Mike. You have, of course, been here since the grand opening at Circa. Derek started with all these football contests, a lifelong sports bettor himself. Did you ever envision where we are now with a $100,000 survivor? I mean, has this exceeded your own expectations even?
No. I was asked in May when we announced it, what's your number? I said 30.5. I might be low. Now, did I think there were going to be 11 people on August 1st? No, because I said we won't know till the last 2 weeks because people aren't going to want to lock up 100,000. But my 100,000 spends a little differently than Mike Pritchard's 100,000. Let's be honest, right? So, I mean, these guys don't matter, and it's just random people we've never heard of that have never placed a bet at Circa.
Wow.
Tuesday, a guy flies in and buys a Grandissimo and 10 survivors. Well, what's your story? I own a business in Miami. I was on vacation in Salt Lake City. I was on my phone and saw an ad about it and said, I want to do that. Caught a flight to Vegas and bought in.
Wow.
Farmer from Scales Mound, Illinois. Never been here. Wanted to do it beyond the booth with Mitch and Paul and hang out with them and do a cabana. Comes out, had a great time, flew back out, 2 entries. I mean, it's amazing. And, you know, I joke. They said, why did Derek do this? I joke, well, he's tired of hanging around with the school teachers and roofers and all the normal people that play a survivor contest. He needed more of his own upper skill people. Of course, that's ridiculous. Why he really created this was because he wanted totally different game theory. This is totally, you can only have 2 entries and you're going against 30 or 40 other people. It's totally different.
Oh, yeah.
You got to try to make it to October. Yeah. Maybe you win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're saving for Christmas and when you're playing in that kind of
Grandissimo, a better deal than getting into standard.
I don't know, because the rush that you can make a deep run in Survivor, I mean, we do this for the thrill of it, right? And the natural like endorphins that you create at having this. I mean, it's life-changing. You have a shot at life-changing money. And now you talked about these secondary markets. You can monetize your ticket at any time. You put it out. I want to sell 20%. It's not that, where am I going to get 300,000 to hedge? You don't have to worry about that anymore. There are really clean ways to monetize because of how the popularity of this contest. So I still think the standard Survivor, there's nothing like it. And that's the reason it continues to grow. If you extrapolate our rate of signups this year against last year, we're up 42%. That comes to just over 20 million. That's really my goal.
42%.
I really want 20 million. We're going to run into capacity issues because the last few days, like when we were doing 1,200 a day, it's hard to do 1,600 a day or 1,700 a day just because of the capacity and the number of windows in that. And I tell everybody, if you're going to come out and do this, do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that last week. Don't try to rush in and get a proxy appointment on Thursday and Friday. You might get shut out. So yeah, 20 million is my dream, and I hope we do it this year.
That sounds like a plan. I was right there with you. I thought 30 people would be the number for Grandissimo. Speaking with a friend, Anthony Curtis, he thought it would be 24.5 or so. I said, no, I'll take the over. I hope somewhere around Thanksgiving or so, James, we are in a position to monetize.
Well, I think I made one run to Thanksgiving. It was a few years ago. You talked about we do it for the rush and do it for the enjoyment. I'm going to be flat out honest. I don't know if I really enjoyed that. I became so consumed every week, and I'm still playing the pick'em contest, but I was so consumed with who am I going to play in Survivor this week? And it felt like I'm surviving. Like I was manifesting issues in my body because of the stress that would come with it, because it is stressful. It's a hell of a lot of fun, but there also is some stress that comes with that, trying to survive each and every week. So I think when it comes to those holidays, yeah, if we get to that far, fingers crossed, yeah, there's obviously definitely, to Mike's point, plenty of ways to try to monetize those tickets.
All right, Mr. Palm, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck. I know you have a busy day here at Radio Row. You're doing interviews all day long. We've got Stadium Swim party at 10 a.m. this morning, correct? For all the attendees.
10 to 4. We
10
have
to
the
4?
whole fifth level reserved for anybody that's done at least one entry in the contest.
Beautiful thing. Mike Pritchard, of course, on the NFL panel, along with our friends Drew Dinsick, Chuck Edel, and Sam Monson. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend. We appreciate the support of Circa.
Thank you, Brady. Thank you, James. And thank you to Mike Pritchard.
All right, folks, we'll be back with more of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and the Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Stick around. More to come in just a moment.
When the football contest crew isn't busy dominating the field and making plays that leave opponents in the dust, they're doing something just as exciting. They're playing My Vegas Slots. It's a top-ranked, free-to-play mobile app that lets you earn valuable real-world rewards from amazing partners like MGM Grand, Bellagio, and Norwegian Cruise Line. You can score hotel stays, great meals, show tickets, and more just for playing. Download My Vegas Slots today from your favorite app store. And if you're anything like Brady, James, and Mike, we know you're going to love it. That's a winning play you won't want to miss.
Steiner's, a Nevada-style pub, invites you to play the best keno and video poker in Las Vegas. Promos are how we roll, so make the most of your gaming dollars with ongoing promotions, daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win Knights, Raiders, Aviators tickets, and big money with all those jackpots. It's not only great gaming at Steiner's, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers and the best appetizers to match. Steiner's, the Nevada-style pub, with 3 locations across the Vegas Valley. Steiner's, I love this place.
Welcome back into the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. Season 2 officially here. We'll be with you for the next 21 weeks, all the way through the NFL regular season, wrapping up on January 9th, 2026. That'll be 1 week after the regular season finishes. All the results will be in. Hopefully we're wearing a brand new blue blazer or something like that, guys. But we absolutely look forward to season number 2. Thank you again to Mike Palm, the Vice President of Operations here at Circa. Of course, we are at Radio Row at the Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. And gentlemen, we've been talking a lot about Circa Survivor and Grandissimo. Let's shift over to the Pick 5 selections against the spread contest, the Circa Million and the Westgate Super Contest, really the OG. That was here before the Survivor stuff that has come around in the last 5, 6, 7 years. It was these Pick 5 games against the spread. The Super Contest lines come out on Wednesday about 5 p.m. Pacific. The Circa Million lines come out on Thursday morning about 10 a.m. Pacific. Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening is your deadline to submit. Oftentimes you'll catch a stale line. An injury will happen in between. The live market shifts versus what the contest line is. Strategy involved there. Pritch, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts this year on how you approach the Select 5 contest versus Survivor?
Well, first of all, the philosophy in the National Football League, I always try to hone in on that as a player and get my perspective on what teams are trying to do, what they're about, their identity. Perfect example, last year, the Eagles who won the Super Bowl, 60-40 pass run ratio is considered balanced, right?
Yeah.
But they skewed it the other way. They were 60-40 run pass ratio. And primarily, you think about Vic Fangio on defense, complementary football. You think about the nickel defense that's on the field. It's an undersized defense. And then teams wanted to get back to being physical, loading the box with 2 tight ends, maybe a fullback, and try to take advantage of the smaller defenses out there. So we saw teams implement the running game to help out the passing game, especially with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who's not a prolific passer. So I see the bulk of the NFL like that right now. It's a copycat league, right? So therefore, when I'm looking at lines, I'm already starting at just a field goal. I think there's so much familiarity. There's so much monotonous style of play in the league right now that I think games are going to be closer. I mean, another example, Kansas City, a lot of one-win victories. Well, inside the building, they were so focused in on the fact that it's going to take a few plays here or there to win. That's all we got to do. So I think a lot of teams are going to have that philosophy this year.
James Salinas, one of the very best in the world when it comes to handicapping NFL games, and not only a great handicapper, but a very, very good bettor. Those really are separate skills, and you got to be good at both of them. James, like I say, you're one of the best, a Super Contest champion in 2015. Do you have any different ideas about how you're going into this year?
I'm not, for starters, I'm not going to have any distractions. So I don't have any futures bets. I don't have any season win totals, any kind of bets prior to the season starting, because for me, for those that can do it, great, go ahead and put all those plays in. But for me, I know that I would create biases for myself. So if there's a team that I bet to win a division or their season win totals, let's just talk division or conference. Now, not only am I trying to root them on to win that, for me to win that ticket, but I'm also rooting against the teams within their division and or the teams within their conference. So I don't want to have that just in the back of my mind.
Interest.
Exactly right. So I'm staying away from any of those types of preseason bets. So no futures for me. The other piece is, like, for right now, outside of a couple games, I don't even know who's playing in week 1 yet.
Yeah.
I don't want to get there because I know if folks are firing on openers when those came out months ago. Like, I don't want to know, one, who the teams are playing, two, what those numbers are, because those numbers are going to differ from what the numbers are come contest time, in 2 weeks when they start to release the contest numbers. And I'm going to say this. I think my handicapping is a little more sophisticated than just finding and picking off stale numbers.
Sure.
You got to pick the games. You got to know the teams. You got to know the matchups and also the motives, especially as the season goes along. The schedule plays a big part into that. So for me, that's where I really feel like that's where I get dialed in as the season goes along, because so many different variations, so many factors come in from a scheduling standpoint, injury standpoint, and also thinking about where is this team. Pritch, you mentioned about teams with finding an identity, also teams that have some chemistry, or teams that are lacking chemistry and have a lot of distractions. Cowboys always come to mind. That star is just a big target on their helmet for every other opponent, because they get the best from their opponent week in and week out. So it's trying to identify those teams that are also having issues in the locker room, but that's a week-to-week proposition for me. So that's my approach. It really hasn't changed a whole lot outside of not having any distractions going into the season.
Mike, you posed the question to James and I. We did a little bit of a rehearsal on Thursday night before the gathering at Bar Canada. And you said, who's your outlier team this year? And you and I landed on one in the same. And then you had another one right here in town.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are interesting because there's always an outlier.
Yeah.
One or two. I mean, go back when CJ.
Worst to first.
Sure.
Then Super Bowl team misses the playoffs, all that stuff.
Right. And then you got Daniels last year with Washington. I mean, the obvious ones were Chicago. People are already gravitating towards those. Mike Palm talked about Miami going downhill, which they are. And I was under the impression that the Rams were going to tank a couple of years ago because they needed to draft a quarterback, right? Because now look at the situation with Stafford. But who knows what's going to happen there. But in town, the Raiders are intriguing because they haven't had a guy like this at head coach.
Yeah.
And they have a GM and a front office that they're all on the same page. The last few years with Gruden and name a coach, just pick one, and a GM, right? Josh McDaniels, all these guys, they were never on the same page. Never. So therefore the results were the results on the field. But now the Raiders are on the same page. They're like-minded from the front office to the coaching staff to the players. And if they accumulate one or two key guys along the way and can stay healthy, like James mentioned, that would be an interesting team for me to look at as being one of those outlier teams.
James, I know you don't have favorite teams. Your favorite team is who you're betting on that week.
Correct.
Are you bullish or bearish on the Raiders?
I need to see it first. I want to know who's going to cover on that back end. They just had their secondary was a sieve last year. So who's going to be able to cover on that back end to get, you got Crosby up front, but beyond that, I just think that this team here, when it comes to the defensive side, I'm a defensive guy. That I look for teams that are physical. Pritch, you mentioned that the shift and change, getting back to more physicality up front because defenses are smaller and they're faster, but they're smaller. I need to see it first from the Raiders before I'm ready to jump on board. So it's going to be a fun season because we're going to have conflicting opinions week in and week out. And I think that's what makes this show so interesting.
San Diego is home to Wolfpack Hospitality Restaurants, located in beautiful La Jolla. Stop by Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria on your next trip. Visit Cove House, a top 100 brunch in California, or Shore Rider, serving up margaritas, fish tacos, and a vibe that will make you feel like a regular in no time. For a slice of New York-style pizza with a California twist, it's Dough Mama Pizzeria, where the wings and pizza draw compliments from around the world. Go to wolfpackhospitality.com, and we will look forward to seeing you at Cove House, Shore Rider, and Dough Mama Pizzeria.
It is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show presented by Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and Mike Pritchard with you. Check us out at footballcontestshow.com. Everything you need there is online. Where to find us, where to download the podcast, YouTube, you name it, footballcontestshow.com. It is the final segment, episode 1, season 2 of the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. And gentlemen, we're off and running. Next week, we have one more preseason prep, if you will, before we dive into the official regular season. And Mike, I think next week we start to focus our attention a little bit more on those week 1 games.
Absolutely. I mean, James mentioned it earlier on in the show that you don't want to form any biases as you approach the season. And it's hard to do because the NFL is here. Everybody's getting so excited. But I'm in agreement with James in terms of not trying to form a bias. I mean, off-season power rankings, what's that, right? I mean, everything is going to change, and everything's going to change after this weekend. I mean, I probably get some good information as to what the teams want to be with this last preseason weekend here. But other than that, I'm going to go into week 1 with a clean slate, no bias at all, and ready to get after it. And I think that's going to be important for our viewers and listeners that each week that you tune in, you're going to get a unique perspective that could help your handicap.
Yeah, I'm with you guys too. I have a very open book as far as I don't have great opinions on this team, that team, the other. I have made a couple of futures bets, season win totals, but they're not asking a lot. I'm not going out on a limb and expecting something crazy. I'm very open to, I don't know anything at this point. And I'm like you, James. I don't even know most of the spreads. I think I might know one in week 1. I want to kind of go in the dark. That first week presented to us, I look at it and what jumps out at me initially. I don't want any preconceived notions.
Obviously I don't either. And about preseason. So I want to ask you guys about preseason. So we're coming up. This is the final week of the preseason. And I think we've seen a shift in preseason play. We know there's only 3 weeks. We've seen a lot more starters on the field for week 1 and week 2. I think something to consider is thinking about, all right, this is the final week. We're in the midst of it. A couple games last night, games today, and games on Saturday. But if you don't play your starters today, that means you haven't been on the field for 3 weeks come the opening kickoff for the season. Thinking about, okay, how does that impact teams? Maybe teams that have already haven't had a lot of change, whether it's personnel, coaching, that's okay. But for teams that have had a lot of turnover, from a coaching staff perspective or from a player perspective, those are things that I'm going to be really trying to dial in. But how much time have you guys really spent? I haven't watched much of the preseason games whatsoever. Again, trying to stay away from those biases. I don't want to see some team did terrible or did great during the preseason. It's really subjective that way. But thinking about how much did you take away so far through the first 2 weeks of the preseason?
I haven't done too much, Mike. I've watched as a very casual observer. And I know to not get too invested in what have you. And, I'm just kind of, it's a game on TV, and I'm not sitting here taking notes and going that type of thing.
Well, I think what stands out. So for instance, the Eagles, I'll use the Eagles because they won the Super Bowl and they've also had the turnover. When you think about Kellen Moore moving on, Kellen Moore was a godsend for that team.
Yeah.
Because he recognized what that team was on offense with Saquon Barkley and Hurts and all these other guys. You got A.J. Brown that's kind of banged up with the hamstring. But then also you got a new offensive coordinator like James was talking about. I don't know anything about Kevin Patulu.
Yeah.
Other than he's been involved.
I've always been in the system.
He's been with the passing game. But remember, Brian Robinson was in the system, but he stunk as a coordinator after Shane Steichen left.
Right.
And that really hurt that football team. So watching preseason to kind of get a philosophy or get a feel for what this guy is about, I mean, that could be helpful from that standpoint.
James, real quick, we got about a minute left. We talk about turnover and lack of continuity. There's been a lot of change for the Detroit Lions. Are they going to be back? Do you expect them to do what they have been doing the last couple of years, or is it going to change?
I think we're going to see a regression when it comes to the offense. I think Ben Johnson being gone, running that show there and really being that quarterback whisperer for Goff. We saw him melt down in the playoffs. We've seen that before throughout his career, especially in the big games. But I think there's going to be regression for the Lions. It's a big turnover, not only from the coaching standpoint, but they hit the ceiling. They hit their ceiling last year. That was as high as they were going to go. They have nowhere else to go but down.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. We're just getting started here on the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, breaking down games, contest strategy, you name it. We've got you for the next 21 weeks. I want to thank everybody, of course, our premier sponsors and our title sponsors, Circa Sports and Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. Also, thanks to Tom Catlin, Jeremiah Crow, and Trifco for putting all this stuff together. Thanks to you, the listeners. We can't wait for another season with all of you. We'll be back with more next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to the Las Vegas Football Contest Show.
Don't you just love football? God, what a fun sport.
Subscribe today on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to receive weekly alerts as soon as the show's available. Good luck with your contest selections.
Pay that man his money.
And we'll talk to you next week.